Welcome to the Unshakable Talks with me, Katy Schweiger. This is not just another podcast. This is your girls' chat for business women. I'm going to speak to women in business, and we're not just going to have a normal conversation. We're speaking about what it really takes to build a business, to scale a business, why we are doing business, and what are the real challenges. What are the things no one actually talks out loud? What are the things which are holding us back? And what are the things which are really driving us to do what we're doing? So I believe running a business as a woman isn't harder, but it is different. So it's time we actually start talking about it. Let's get into it. So today at the Unshakable Talks, I have a different guest, my little VIP guest, Robin, my little mini me. So we thought we're going to do a bit of a fun episode where we talk about female entrepreneurship from both aspects. Mine as the mum and Robin, the child, and growing up with a busy mum. So yeah, that's what we're going to do today. Are you ready, Robin?
Yes, let's do this.
Are you ready? So we have prepared some questions. Well, not just us. The audience has asked us some questions, which some of them are directed to us, some of them like individual, some of them are directed to both of us. So Robin, I thought if we each draw a question at a time.
Okay.
I have marked them. What is for you is the R.
Yeah.
What is for me is with a K. And the B equals to both of us. Do you want to start?
Yeah, let's start. So this one's for both of us. It says, female entrepreneurs spend twice as long on caregiving as their male counterparts. Is that a structural problem that needs fixing, or is that just the reality of being a woman building a business and we need to just get on with it?
Do you want to answer first or do you want mine?
No, I think you should go first because you're actually in the
Okay, I think it's in my personal humble opinion, I think we just need to get on with it. I think it's just
I'm gonna hate you for that.
I think it's definitely had gotten better nowadays, but I don't think it will ever change. And in my honest, humble opinion, I don't think it has to change. We women are just wired differently than men. I think the nurturing part is part of our DNA or being, however you want to call it. And therefore, we naturally adapt more to taking more care responsibilities within like a family setup. So that's my answer. What do you think?
I mean, I'm not in the entrepreneurial space personally, and I don't have any caregiving responsibilities apart from our dog. But I think just if you compare you and Dad,
Yeah.
I think Dad's not wired for it. He gets overwhelmed in a supermarket when I send him with a short list. So I think in that sense, it's very much you take on that role more. But yeah, I'm not sure.
Can you see yourself taking on that role more, or would you expect from your future husband to take on a bigger role than your father had?
No, I'd actually prefer if my husband was out working and I was home with the kids.
Okay.
That's like the ultimate dream. I mean, I want to have a career and I want to do work and like I do enjoy that. But I think that when I have kids, I think a big thing, especially like from our whole experience of me growing up and stuff, the big thing that I want is to be home with the kids. I don't want to be working. And if I am working, I want to be working in some sort of facet where I am working around the kids and not the other way around.
Okay.
But yeah, that's my personal opinion. You're
Okay.
next.
Right, that was a good start. Let me grab a question. Oh, to both of us again.
Okay.
Maybe we are lucky and don't have to answer individual questions.
Oh, I hope so.
Right. Do you think Robin growing up in an entrepreneurial household has been more of an advantage or disadvantage when it comes to entering the working world? And do we agree with each other on this one? So how do you feel? Do you feel it's an advantage or disadvantage?
I don't think it's a disadvantage at all. I think growing up with seeing you work so hard the whole time and also Dad being away with work and stuff, I think it's taught me to be very hardworking, and I work a lot harder if I compare me and my friends. I do work a lot more, etc. But I don't think it's a disadvantage, but I do think that it's not a path that I necessarily want to follow.
Okay.
When I'm going into the working world.
I'm going to surprise you. I think we're going to agree on something here.
Oh, that's a shocker.
Because I actually don't think it's a disadvantage. I think it can only be an advantage to be exposed to kind of both sides. What you obviously take from this and how it shapes you, that's a different story. But I don't think it's an advantage or disadvantage at all.
No, there's definitely a negative side of it. I do think. I don't think it's all like roses and sunshine.
No, definitely not.
I think it's also sort of skirting the like fine line between being hardworking and seeing that, and then getting to the point where it's like you keep working until burnout and like you just keep working because that's all you've seen. So I do think that's like definitely something, especially as like someone going into like the early stages of my career, is something that I think I deal with more than my friends do. And I don't necessarily know if that's because I was around the entrepreneurial side or if it's just the way that I'm wired. Like I you don't know. I don't have any siblings, so we can't compare.
I'm sorry.
I'm just saying that like you can't compare it in that sense. But I do definitely think that I'm more susceptible to just working and getting it done because that's what I've seen, and I think that is an element of the entrepreneurial lifestyle. Is like you have to keep working. You can't just stop. You can't just say, "Oh, I'm gonna take 3 weeks off now." Do you know what I mean? So it's like it's sort of a sense of like
Hell
you always
yeah, I
have
know
to
what
be
you
planning
mean.
for that and stuff. But yeah. I don't know. I don't necessarily think it's a bad thing. I just think it's different. But yeah. Shall I go next?
Your turn.
This one's for you.
Oh.
Oh, God. Okay. Did you ever secretly hope Robin would follow in your footsteps? And how do you actually feel watching her pursue a more traditional career path?
I never secretly hoped you would step into my footsteps. So it's not like that I think I want her to be an entrepreneur. I'm absolutely happy for you to go into the traditional working space. I actually think there's an aspect, well, one part of me thinks you need to get into corporate, you need to kind of earn your stripes, you need to kind of go through all of this, what most of us have been going through.
But you didn't go into corporate.
No, but I did go into normal working environment. I did do apprenticeships and I did had to answer to someone, like this whole kind of hierarchy set up. So I did work for other people before I did that step into entrepreneurship. So one part of me thinks, I think that's important and it's an important skill to learn. But the other part of me thinks nowadays, because when I was your age, that wasn't having your own business wasn't a question. It wasn't even something I was thinking about. I knew I wasn't cut out to be employed by someone or answering to someone, but how that will look like, I didn't know. So that wasn't a question. So I think nowadays, because we have so many different options, it's easier to get into entrepreneurship. So actually having the opportunities to do so, I think that's great. And do I want you to take those opportunities? Yes, if that's what you want to do. So I would be fully supportive. Do I think you would be more suited for entrepreneurship? Absolutely. I think you are definitely more suited for entrepreneurship than for a traditional work environment. But there is a huge part.
That's interesting. You're the first person who said that.
Well, that's how I personally see it.
Yeah.
But I do think going through the period of actually going in a traditional working environment, getting that structure and kind of learning, earning your stripes is very beneficial.
Yeah, I don't know. I think for me, I want to go in to the industry. I want to learn a bit more. That sort of stuff. Like I do have ideas of what I could do in terms of entrepreneurship, but I'm not particularly set on either one. And I feel like I need to have a reason to do it. And right now I don't have that reason. And I also think I need more experience. I don't think I'm ready to take that step personally.
And I think that's good. It's good that you have that awareness and kind of, and you need to almost feel like you are ready. However Doolally the idea is you have to still feel like you're ready and that's what you want to do. Yeah. So that's good.
Yeah.
Well, the world is your oyster, darling. So let's move on to the next question. I want to pick one which is just for you, but no, it's for both of us again.
I actually only have ones for both and you in this one.
So, the stats are saying 58% of female entrepreneurs believe there will be more entrepreneurship in the future. Are you both in that 58%? And what would actually need to change to make that a reality? So 58% of female entrepreneurs believe that there will be more entrepreneurship in the future.
I definitely think with the way the working world has been like changing over the years and the evolution of it, there's definitely going to be more entrepreneurs. I don't necessarily know if that's a good or a bad thing. I think there's different levels of entrepreneurs, and I think there's entrepreneurship that actually gives some sort of benefit, whether that be like monetary or like fixes an issue. And then there's entrepreneurs where I'm like, well, you're just another one doing the exact same thing. So I do think that there's a little bit of a problem in the sense that it's going to become very oversaturated, and I think you're then going to have the issue of like what entrepreneurship is like good and what's bad. But I think the style of working is obviously very different, and I do think there's, especially with like I think my generation's a lot more, I guess, attracted to not working under someone and being able to set your own hours and stuff. But then I think seeing like the downside of it and like the behind the scenes of it, I've not got that illusion. So it's like the same things when I tell people I want to go into finance, and they're like, oh, it's going to be really hard and everything. I'm like, yeah, but I was like, I grew up with a dad in finance. Like I've seen the sort of bad sides of it. So I'm not going into it with an illusion that it's going to be great, which I think a lot of people maybe do. But I do think entrepreneurship is going to continue growing. It's sort of in its middle stage right now, early middle stage. So yeah.
I do think specifically amongst women, it will definitely grow because it gives you, is it a bad thing or a good thing, or what needs to change? I think what needs to change amongst women is the perception of what entrepreneurship actually means.
Okay, what do you mean by that?
I mean, because a lot of, I generally find women quite often enter the space of entrepreneurship because a lot of mums, for example, let's take the traditional mum as an example, enters because they want the flexibility in terms of time freedom, in terms of doing this kids school job and all of this, and that's obviously great, and we all have that desire, or we want to create a business around. I speak to a lot of young girls actually who have their business and are really, really determined to set up their businesses so they can become a mum. So there's this aspect both ways. You probably get that a lot. But I think what needs to change is that we're going into this with that there is a perfect way of doing this, like for the younger generation, because there is no perfect way. There is no perfect timing for this either. It will not be, because it will never be the way you imagine it to be. There is always something you can't allocate for. And I think for women who already have children or older women, I think, and who are seeking this freedom of making decisions, and specifically when it comes to time, I think we need to really, really talk much more about what that really looks like and what that really means, because it's a complete illusion. You will not have more time. Yes.
I think you have less time.
You have absolutely less time.
Your free time I think you have more choice over maybe when you take your free time, but I think you have a lot less free time.
Yeah.
But
I don't think a lot of people actually realize this. I think a lot of people think, okay, I can take my free time, like you said, and we can go and I can do the school one, but that actually means that I will have to work at night when the kids are in bed. And actually, do I have that capacity mentally, physically, and everything else to actually do that, to get up the next day, to do it all over again? And I definitely didn't completely underestimated this at the beginning of my journey as well. And I think everyone does, but when it comes to what needs to change, I think we need to talk about this more, and we need to talk about those aspects actually to bring more awareness.
Yeah, I do. Yeah, I think you see a lot of like younger people going into it, and I mean, I see it from my friends. I'm graduating soon, so like I do see like looking at what the different pathways are and what we're going to do afterwards. I have quite a few friends who want to go into entrepreneurship, and they seem to have the idea that like they will be able to go on all these holidays and everything else. And it's like, I think for me, looking at the way I grew up and everything else, I'm like, well, the holidays we took were obviously around dad's like holiday schedule with work, but very much I don't think I remember with your old company, I don't think I remember a single holiday where you were off completely. You always still, like, it doesn't matter, we were in Mexico and you still had to make sure that the office managers were doing it, and there was always some sort of issue that came up that you then had to deal with because no one else could. Do you know what I mean? So I think there's an element of you never stop, and okay, you might be able to afford to go with your family if you're really successful on these holidays, but you're never really totally off. So I do think there's that element as well.
Yeah,
but
very true.
Another one. I've literally only got ones for both, and I've got one for you. Okay. Women-led companies received only 5.8% of all investment in the UK in 2024, yet female-led companies actually outperform male-led ones on revenue. Does that make you angry, or have you made peace with the fact that women just have to work harder to prove themselves?
Ooh.
Who
goes first? Should I go first?
Yeah.
Okay, so it doesn't make me angry because I don't actually waste my energy on things I can't change. Well, I try not to. I can't say it makes me angry. I can't see this changing until there are more female leaders involved in the decision making of actually giving out investments. I think it's an extremely male dominated industry, and decisions are being made from a male perspective.
Yeah.
And therefore, unfortunately, because we women, if you think about it, what kind of businesses we are entering, who are quite often heart-led, female-led, like more feminine kind of businesses, the both sides don't really get each other on a good day, let alone in a boardroom or like, do you know what I mean? Like, so I think as long as the decision-making part of this is male-led, this will not change. Does it make me angry? No. Do we have to maybe work more harder in convincing the right people to give us investment? Absolutely. But to me, it's almost like, and some people will not like this, but it is what it is.
Yeah.
And I've got two options. I either dwell on it and get angry about it,
Or you get the investment.
and it's not going to change. I'm still not going to get this investment. Or I'm going to try to figure out a way on how to get the investment other ways, or remodel what I want to create with this investment to allow for the money I have or what I can get to get me to that point. It may take longer. It has a couple of detours, but yeah, that's what I think about it.
I mean, I guess also if you I think it's probably not what people would expect someone my age and a woman to say about it, but if you look at it historically speaking, I think at the end of the day, the people at the moment with the most money in terms of being able to invest, etc., they tend to be men. And I think a man's more likely to invest in a man than they are a woman because they understand a man. So I think whilst women are catching up and women are getting more within, I guess, what people want to call equal, they're getting more within the same rooms, etc. Like there's an element of that hasn't quite caught up yet, and I think dwelling on it just wastes time personally. And I mean, we're outperforming them on revenue, so
yes,
celebrate that one. You know what I mean? Like there's no point of. I think you just have to keep working. You have to get to that point, and until there are women who are able to invest those amounts and stuff, that's the issue you have. And a lot of the big families that do investments, etc., it's the men in those families that run the business, and that's just, I mean, whether
do you think there's generational as well? Because obviously I feel like we're in a sandwich generation right now. Like back in the days, obviously women were more like the homemakers and more in a traditional role, and weren't actually involved in business, and therefore couldn't kind of develop to that stage where they are in a decision-making position within companies or organizations. It's obviously different nowadays, but I do think we have a lot of catching up to do with this.
It's definitely, I would say it's a generational problem in the sense of, I think there are certain generations that maybe don't see a woman as being capable of doing such things, or that they shouldn't be doing those sort of things. But if you're looking at it in terms of the big investment families, etc., historically speaking, it's passes down to the first son, etc., and then the wives look after the children, and if that's what works for them, why change it, sort of thing. But I don't necessarily know if it's, I'm not really like my generation in that sense, so I think I have a very contrasting view to other people in that sense. But yeah, I think it just is what it is.
Well, we can't change it, can we? So let's move on to the next question. This is one for you.
Oh, yay.
Yay.
I'm actually scared.
So women are twice as likely as men to identify family responsibilities as a barrier to entrepreneurship. Do you think your mum ever used you as a reason to play it small? And Katy, is there any truth in that?
Oh, well, that's a rough one. For you, not me. I think looking back, if I compare your entrepreneurship journey from when I was younger to now, when I'm like older and have my own responsibility and stuff, I definitely think that there's an element of you maybe not taking the same amount of risks, etc. I don't necessarily know if I would say that you were using it as an excuse, but at the end of the day, you had a child, as you have someone who relies on you in that sense. Now I'm old enough that like if all went to hell, you know, I could go out and work and own my own. Do you know what I mean? I think it's a little bit less pressure in that sense. I think it's the same when you're a parent, like whether you're an entrepreneur or you're working an everyday job, you're going to make decisions based on your children to make sure that your child has the life you want it to have. So you're not going to maybe take a massive risk that could end up changing your lifestyle, etc., or could negatively impact your child. And I do think you definitely maybe struggled with confidence previously. That's definitely in the last like 2 years. It's like that, and you've like completely changed. Sometimes I actually still like get confused. I'll like wake up in the morning and forget, and I'm like, what's wrong with her today? Like, is she okay? And then like, oh no, just like this is just you now. But yeah, I don't necessarily know if you would have used it as an excuse, but it's a reason. So it definitely affected your decisions growing up. I mean, there's nothing.
I agree with this. I never felt like I'm using it as an excuse, but I also think as a woman with a child, there is a season for everything, and the smaller the children are, you only have a certain limit of capacity in general. So I wouldn't say this is like playing it small. Maybe sometimes, but I think actually nowadays I would call it playing it smart, because
I don't know if you could say that.
I can because I had this conversation actually with someone the other day, and she said when it's like the holiday times, school holiday times, I just can't be the same woman within my business than when the kids are in school. And it's really true. You need to really recognize this. When you have small children and you have like the whole school run and everything else to do, your capacity is very different to what you can put into your business, and therefore also like take the risk and to grow your business, than the capacity I have nowadays.
But I don't necessarily think that's playing it small. I think that's just like your life circumstances. I think playing it small is more not taking risks and opportunities within your business when you have the ability to do so. And
but that's a byproduct of it. You naturally don't take those risks and opportunities. You always, as an entrepreneur, you always think about the next step. For example, one thing I've never done within my old business, which I probably should have done, is get into commercial cleaning. Because commercial cleaning for me, there was no way for me to kind of structurally incorporate this with having a child.
Okay. Yeah.
So yes, I played it small, because domestic cleaning is during the day. Yeah, this was my capacity.
Night and morning.
Now that we're talking about it, it actually comes to my mind. But commercial cleaning, I could never. There was no capacity for that.
Yeah.
So in this, and I did some commercial cleaning, and I had lots of opportunity to really get into this world. And I had lots of offers from really large contracts, but I've never taken them because I just simply couldn't.
Your business wasn't built right.
But I never saw it as playing small though. That was my point. I think it's something a phrase we are using, but I don't actually think that's what it is. It wasn't the right season for me to do those steps. Yeah. And I actually think if I would have taken the steps, I wouldn't have been succeeding in it because my life wasn't set up the way at that one moment for me to really fully go in.
Fair enough. I think you're next.
Yeah.
Or is it me?
I think it's me. No, I just did that. It's your turn.
Yeah, I put it back in the box instead of... what's this? This one's for both of us. Why have I got all the statistics?
I don't know. I've got lots of statistics as well, I think.
Okay, in 2022, 17,500 businesses in the UK were started by people aged 16 to 25, which was a 22-fold increase since 2018. Gen Z is clearly stepping up. Does that surprise either of you, and what do you think is driving it?
It doesn't surprise me at all, and I think the single main driver, I mean, there's obviously going to be loads of different drivers, But I think the main driver is the fact that there are more opportunities around. I think in terms of social media and all of this, there are so many different avenues you can make money these days.
Yeah.
And if you are, and that's not to say that I think that's a good thing, but if you are as a young person, for example, let's just take TikTok as an example. One of the sudden become a TikTok creator. A lot of them are not consciously doing this. They're just posting any sort of shit on TikTok and goes viral, and then you become a creator, you earn money through this. And if this is turning into a decent income, why the hell would you go down to a 9-to-5 job? Why would that actually enter your thought process to say, oh, okay, let's do an apprenticeship, let's go to uni, let's do this, let's do X, Y, Z. So I think because of there's loads of opportunities around these days, it doesn't surprise me at all. Is it necessarily a good thing? I think yes, it is, but it also fosters a lot of stupid decisions.
What do you mean?
I think a lot of people are starting with business ideas or businesses which are very temporary, which are very fast-paced. They don't understand actually what it means to have a business, because this whole, when I said to you, like earning your stripes, unless you're around parents, like you would be one of them, you're around parents who are high achiever and quite ambitious in general in both areas. So I feel like we always given you, or tried at least, to give you as much back knowledge as possible from both sides, unless you have that knowledge. If you're someone who comes, look, we all want to make money, don't we? Like everyone wants to make money. Life is expensive.
I think you have to nowadays.
Yeah, we want nice things. So, but if you're someone who comes from a lack of money, from a big lack of money, your motivation, some people will call it, is higher. But your motivation is always different to someone who comes more from a bit more comfortable upbringing. But that also quite often means if you're not around ambitious parents or ambitious upbringing or entrepreneurial parents, the knowledge you actually need to really succeed, unless you are really someone who loves the research and does all of this, you're not really getting. So at some point, that great TikTok business idea, which made you a couple of grands and made you decide not to go to uni, not to pursue a traditional career or get like an apprenticeship, like a foundation which can set you up in life, that will all crumble down. And that, I think, then becomes an issue.
Yes, but I don't think that everyone, obviously if you're 16 and starting a business, you haven't gone to uni, but 16 to 25 years old, a lot of people have gone to uni, they've done their degree. Most people come out of uni at 21. I'm a bit older coming out of uni because my degree was also longer. But I don't necessarily think that the majority of that is people on TikTok dancing.
I don't, not the majority, but I think this is the risk we're running here, I think.
Yeah, and I get it, but I also think one, I guess, negative thing that I think has said a lot about the younger generation and Gen Z. I mean, we do have a little bit of an issue with some people, but I think
only some, Robin. Only some.
I said some. I didn't say everyone. But I do think that the older generation maybe forgets that actually when they were our age, they were in the same position. They were at the point where they had to make a decision. And I think we have more options now that are more widely known than maybe your generation had when you were going into the work world. And I do think there's an element of a lot of people being like, well, if I don't need to work for someone, I can work for myself. Why would I?
Yeah, and I love that. Obviously, as an entrepreneur, I absolutely love that. And that's good. But I think it can also cause a lot of fast success, but very temporary success. And then the down spiral from this, if you don't have the right grit and grind and skills, can be quite bad. That's the only downside. I love that you guys have all of those opportunities. I wished I would have had more opportunities and more. With opportunities also come different influences, don't you? It's like, so I love that. But yeah, I think there's a downside to it. Anyways, my turn.
Your turn.
Next subject. Question for Robin.
You have all the ones for me.
Oh, but people want to ask you more questions than me. It's not my fault. So, listen up, girl. Your dad has a traditional job. Your mum runs a business. Yeah. Which model are you actually drawn to? And is it about security, ambition, or something else entirely? That's a good one.
I think right now, at the stage of life I'm in now, I think I'm more drawn to dad's like more traditional side. I think I've obviously seen the bad sides of both of them, so I'm not going into the decision with like rosy coloured glasses on, or whatever the saying is. So I've seen both bad sides of it, but I think personally for me and for my personal development, even just from my internship last summer, like the amount that I think I mentally grew and like the amount that I learned over the time, I feel like I learned more in those 14 weeks than I did in my degree, and that's kind of sad.
You absolutely loved your internship, didn't you?
Yeah. Don't say where I was at.
No, I won't say where you were at. But I also think, and correct me if I'm wrong, I think you're someone who thrives on structure.
I think I struggled a lot with uni in the sense that I've come from an extremely high pressured schooling background, and then obviously with COVID was at home, so that was like, I think everyone was at home, so it was not really much different. I quite enjoyed it because I didn't have the pressure of like then also having to go out and meet friends on top of the like schedule at my school. But I think at uni I struggled with the sense that I love my structure. I love sort of, I don't know,
you love routine. You're a routine man.
I like very much. And like I'll take a few days where I don't do it and I can feel it.
Yeah.
I can like, if I don't go to the gym every day, I can feel it. I've not been able to go to the gym 2 weeks because of the running training, and I literally like, I can feel it. I hate it.
Yeah.
Even the fact that I didn't go to the gym today, I've been like itching all morning because I'm like, okay, I haven't gone to the gym, so I can't start my day properly.
But the one thing you do as an entrepreneur is you have to reinvent your blooming routine on a literally hourly basis. So.
Yeah, I don't think that's necessarily something that I don't think it's something that I can't do. I just think it's not something that I'm willing to work on doing right now.
And that's fair.
I also think I want to go into a more traditional role, because not necessarily traditional, I'd love to work at a startup and like tech companies, that sort of stuff, but I think I would enjoy more getting the experience, the background. I think you can see a lot more in one of those big companies, because you, especially as a graduate in a graduate scheme and stuff, you see a lot of areas within the business and that sort of stuff. And I don't know, I want to go on some holidays and like,
well, there is an aspect. So there is a security aspect there. You are ambitious, so you're not gonna choose. You're not choosing to, I don't know, work in a low-paid job. You are thriving to get a really good career. You want a structure which will that will give you. You have to go to work every day to a certain time, and you want a security, i.e., a secure income. You want the sick pay. You want the holiday cover.
The insurance.
You want the insurance. No, but you want all of this, and that's absolutely fine. And all of this you don't have in entrepreneurship. Yeah, that's definitely
is. I definitely think there's a time for entrepreneurship in my life, but I don't necessarily think it's now.
I think that's totally fine and totally fair as well.
Yeah. I don't think, like you were saying before about like whim ideas and stuff, I don't really believe in that. If I go into it, I want to have an idea that I really believe in. I want to have like a reason to do it. And I don't have that right now. So I think for me, if I were to go into it now, I would start a social media marketing agency, because that's all I know, that's all I've done in my past. But I don't necessarily think if I would be going in it with the right motivations.
Okay.
So,
all right.
But yeah.
Next question. Your turn.
Is it my turn?
Yeah.
This one's for you. It's on top.
You digged it out, didn't
you?
No,
it was on top. All the others are both. In 2024, just 2% of all equity investment in the UK went to female founders, down from 2.5% the year before. You've built your business without outside investment. Is that a badge of honour or a symptom of a broken system? I call that bloody lucky. I'd call it hard work. I don't think you can put it down to just luck.
But I think obviously getting investment for your business is like a big hurdle to jump for most. No question. Yeah. Also, that's why I call it lucky. I was very lucky that I didn't have to do this. I did try. I went to HSBC and had...
did you actually?
Yeah, I did.
Did you get turned down?
No, yeah, I was. Because listen to this, I did go to HSBC and I tried to apply for a business loan because I was at a time, I remember, I think I was told that, actually, obviously at the time, financially, we weren't as well off as we are, got like our financial stability wasn't the same than it is now. You were like 3 years old or something.
Oh, okay, so it was like years ago.
So you were like really young. It was right at the beginning of my business.
Okay.
So it made sense to have a business loan to finance this, and take the personal liability and insecurity out of it. So I went to HSBC and I had what I thought was a good business plan. You know me, I hate an Excel sheet.
I was gonna say it's
but it definitely wasn't, according to the HSBC person, a good enough business plan.
I don't think you quite hit the numbers that they needed to see.
Well, it was a new business. There were no numbers to hit at that point, but it wasn't as
corporate-y.
It wasn't the right thing, so that did reject me.
Oh.
So in a way, we did like the option was to self-finance, and because my business grew very quick, it worked out for me. There was always within any business there's always a cash flow issue. So I did have to continuously over many years to pump in money temporarily. So that's why I call myself lucky that I had this. The same with this business now. I'm in the lucky position where I can finance my Doolally ideas.
Delusional, mum. Delusional.
Well, I call them Doolally. But I'm not sure if this is a curse. I think we women have a lot of catching up to do as well on how we pitch our businesses.
Yeah.
And that goes all the way back to how much we believe in ourselves and our work and our craft and all of this. So I actually think, to answer this question, it's much more complex than a straight yes or no answer, because it's not just to do with like the gender divide of like investment, in my personal opinion.
Next
for you, because I think we're running out of time soon. There's a stats again. Oh, I have a different one. Let's pick some. Oh, you're 24.
I'm not 24, Mum. I'm 23.
Well, it was the listener. So she's 23, everyone. She's turning 24.
You do this for weeks.
Job hunting, and you've grown up watching your mum building a business from scratch. So why are you looking for a job and not starting something of your own? What's holding you back? Well, we answered this already.
I don't really think this. I don't think for me personally, I know a lot of people, there's stuff that's holding them back. I don't think for me it's that something's holding me back in that sense, but I truly don't have. I mean, I have the one idea that I've discussed with you and Dad, but like I've not got a viable idea, so I can't sit around and not do anything. It's like my worst nightmare. And I think I need more experience. I want to have that experience. I don't want to build my own thing and then later on go into it. So that personally for me is, I mean, I don't have an idea, so what would I do?
Okay, so we now do a little bit of a twist at the end of the episode. Nina's gonna have a question for us. Go on, Nina.
Okay, so my question for you is, do you think that having an entrepreneurial mum has changed your relationship with her?
Oh, 100%. I think...
Do I need the tissues?
No, I don't think it's that. I mean, growing up, I think primary school, all the other mums were like, there were very few mums that were working. A lot of them were like the playground mums who then went for coffee afterwards and like all those sort of things. And obviously my mum wasn't doing that. Mum dropped me off and then went to work. So I definitely do think there was a little bit of a difference in that sense. And then when I went off to secondary school, I mean, I don't know, most of the mums either were working more, I guess, traditional jobs, if they had a job, or they would stay at home, but they were never home. So I think they were mostly on trips that time. So I definitely think it's like the relationship we have is very different. And because I've worked for you in the past and everything else, I think it's just it's different. It's not the same. I don't think it's necessarily bad. But we definitely get on each other's nerves a lot. And I think because of me growing up around the business and having so much knowledge with it and everything else, I definitely do think that it sometimes comes to like friction points where you maybe don't necessarily want to believe something that I'm saying. I definitely think there's an element of you thinking that you know everything because you're older than me and you're my mother. But yeah, I definitely think it's different in that sense. But yeah.
Okay, well, I take it. What can I say? I do know most of the things. But yeah, I think also you don't know any difference. You don't know the difference of like having an entrepreneur mum or a mum who's just a mum at home.
No, because you've always been working.
I've
never had that.
Been working.
I think when did you start? When I was like 2 years old.
3, yeah.
Yeah, like my earliest childhood memories are of you working.
Yeah.
So I don't think I obviously have seen what I've missed in terms of what my friends' family structures and stuff are like. But I personally, it's not that I like lost something personally because I never had it to begin with. But yeah.
Well, that was lovely, Robin. I think there's room for another episode at some point, but
maybe once I have a job.
I know, maybe once you have a job. Anyone listening who wants to give my daughter a job, call in. Thank you for coming on my podcast and supporting me.
No problem.
Thank you for listening to the Unshakeable Talks. Please make sure to give us a follow and come back next week for another great conversation with another amazing woman. But I also want you to come to my event I'm hosting very soon. If you like listening to my episodes, if you like meeting the women I'm bringing onto the Unshakable Talks, you will absolutely love my event because you're actually going to be in the room with the women from the podcast or women who do similar things. Tickets are only £10 and everything goes to charity. A charity I chosen because it aligns fully with the values of the Unshakable Talks and with myself. The link is in the show notes. Get your ticket now.